This podcast is brought to you by Sci-Fi, the world leader in psychology fitness training. Sci-Fi is scientifically proven to help you optimize your physical, mental, and emotional performance through functional training of your brain, body, and breath. For the first time, have your own clinical psychologist, personal trainer, life coach, breathwork teacher, and mediation instructor all in one. Instead of having to wait months or even years for results, you get them in 75 minutes or less. That's the Sci-Fi difference. Rewire your brain, retrain your body, and refocus your breath. Learn more at psyfi.nyc.
It's been said, you, me, or nobody is going to hit as hard as life.
In the ring, I control my own destiny.
Absolutely.
I win, I lose. It's in my hands.
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
I face life head on, but I've learned to welcome the challenges even in the ring.
From the boxing side of it, every time we fall, we get back up.
That's what Life's Tough, Boxers Are Tougher is all about. In the guest corner, she comes to us from the great fighting city of Philadelphia by way of Providence, Rhode Island. Her record stands at 19 wins with 7 defeats and with 5 big wins by knockout. She also boasts 3 acting credits and 1 writing credit to her resume, and she's scheduled to star opposite Jodie Foster in the upcoming season of the HBO blockbuster series True Detective. Please welcome to the podcast the WBA, IBO, and WBO World Super Lightweight Champion, Kaylee KO Mequinonoag Reis.
Tabutney, thank you so much. Such a pleasure.
Thanks. I'm grateful to have you here. I didn't add in your resume the first woman, one of the first women to fight on HBO, which of course was awesome, and my wife Kelly's favorite fighter. So when I had mentioned that I was doing season 2, she asked me if I was going to try to get you on. You were kind enough to jump on, so we're grateful. Thanks for coming.
Well, thanks for asking me. And if you don't mind, I'd love to introduce myself in my language when I have a minute.
Oh, please, let's do it.
So, Akine, Munikisuk ni Tompog, Natasuis Mequinonoag, Nutamasi Konke Wampanoag, Nutamaz Cherokee, Nutamaz Nipmunk, Nutamaz Cape Verde Islands, Natai Providence, Rhode Island. Hello and greetings, my friends. Peace. My given name is Many Feathers, Many Talents. I'm from the Sikonke Wampanoag tribe with lineage to the Cherokee and Nipmunk tribes, as well as a rich history and lineage to the Cape Verde Islands. Residing now in Philadelphia and originally from East Providence, Rhode Island. I would just like to acknowledge the land that I am on is not my territory. It's from the Lenape and Delaware people and surrounding tribes. So thank you for allowing me to be here. And to Butney, thank you for having me today. I'm really excited to speak with you today.
Thank you. This is quite an honor for me, and I've actually seen you fight live. You have by far one of the best, if not the best, entrances to any fight. So I encourage anyone to check out Kaylee and check out her entrance. It's definitely awesome.
Thank you so much. It's powerful. It's hard to fight right after that. It's easy but hard because I get so emotionally caught up in it. But thank you so much. It means a lot to me.
So look, because we don't have a lot of time, but I do have to ask, what are you up to these days? Which I think could probably take up the whole 30 minutes, but just give it to us in a quick nutshell.
I did a movie in 2019 called Catch the Fair One, which premiered in February of this year. And then I had a part in a movie called Black Flies, starring Ty Sheridan and Sean Penn, as well as Mike Tyson. I got to meet him.
Cool.
And right now I am still the reigning IBO, WBO, WBA Super Lightweight World Champion, which we are set to have an undisputed fight, which has been postponed due to some health issues right now, which I also have the blessing of being casted in, like you said, the season 4 of True Detective with
Wow.
Jodie Foster. So I skipped the line a little bit. I mean, I just kind of put my toe in with the movie and like a little special appearance now to this multi-million-dollar exclusive show on HBO, no less, because I was one of the first women, as you mentioned. I was actually officially the first woman to be seen on TV because I came out first, so I'll take that. And ever, we with 1.4 million views, and the first to knock Cecilia down, and we had an epic fight, and that was a launch of my career. And I am now residing in South Philadelphia. I've been coming here since the Cecilia Brækhus fight was actually the first time for camp. And I am married now, and I have an 11-year-old stepdaughter. I'm married to my best friend slash manager slash coach slash therapist, Brian Cohen. We've we've been best friends, and it just kind of happened. And yeah, this is where I'm at in life, and we are set to film True Detective in Iceland. So I'll be working for a while, and here we are. 6 world titles later, and some acting gigs. I think I'm doing pretty okay.
So how do you balance? I mean, again, fighting a championship fight and starring a legitimate blockbuster series, HBO series. How do you balance that?
I'm learning on the job because, like I said, I when we did the movie Catch the Fair one, I had just, I was still fighting, still training other people. So it's one of those things that both demand my undivided, obsequious fucking attention. So I'm just learning right now, and unfortunately, the undisputed fight right now has been on hold because we were supposed to already have that back in either April or May. But I'm dealing with some serious health issues as far as being able to train for a fight. Hence, the last two fights were like I had to dig down to the depths of hell, which we can get into that later. But
Yeah.
um, I am very dedicated to both. They both take a lot of mental preparation. So it's almost like the cross into acting. I'm halfway there because I know what it takes discipline wise and mentally. So they kind of both, there's so many similarities to it. But right now, things happen how they happen. Things happen for a reason. And I wouldn't be fighting regardless, even if I didn't have this. I'm always doing auditions, always working on my craft, as well as always in the gym. We have a gym here now in Philadelphia too. So things are just kind of lining up how they need to line up. I thought by now, I'd be defending my undisputed super lightweight championship, but my body said have a seat, unfortunately. It's some things that I have been battling probably since the beginning of my career, but it just kind of caught up to me. So right now we're
Well,
balanced the best way we can. And I got a really good support system between my husband, Brian, my promoter Lou DeBella, and just all around on both sides and family wise. So um, I'll figure it out. I always do.
so look, I was saying shout out to Lou DeBella. Grateful to him for putting us together. We know you're tougher than life, but for the for the sake of the show, tell us why you're tougher than life.
Where should I start? Since it's relevant to the show, we can go into last year and kind of where I'm at with boxing now and like the health issues type thing. So when I fought for the IBO in Florida, I fought Diana Prazak, and then I fought Jessica Camara for the WBO. And since you follow my career, and those listening has followed my very extensive professional career, almost 14 years in the making now, I didn't have, a manager. Lou wasn't there. I didn't have a promoter or anything really starting out. Sometimes I really didn't have a trainer. Um, but when I was about 20, 21, 22, I went through menopause, and I had a big struggle with that. And I had just gone professional, and um, that on so many different levels, as far as dealing with energy issues and also being a woman in the sport and being a woman in general, that took a little bit of a toll on me. And number one, women's boxing around 2008 2009 wasn't as prominent. It's never been as prominent as it is now. Like right
Yeah.
now, women's boxing is insanely on fire. Like it's so hot, and it's such a great time for women's boxing. I'm so glad to be a part of it, or even to had been a part of it, whatever my future holds. You know what I mean? So starting out, making $800 here, $900 there, not getting paid, it was just tough in general. And also, I'm from Providence, Rhode Island, from where Matthew Godfrey, Jason Estrada, Peter Manfredo Jr. There's a bunch of names. We can go to Josh Beeman. We can go to Bobo. We can go to all kinds of different fighters. I was coming up when they were coming up, and I'm the female in the gym, and I'm such a hard worker. Like I'll train like you have to save me from myself basically, and people tell me to go home because I work so hard, which that's one of those things that we don't have to worry about. K is always going to be in shape. K is always going to be ready. So I wasn't never the priority, not because, and I call him Pop, which is Jason Estrada's father. I call him Pop. He's known me forever. He's adopted me into the family. Roland Estrada. It wasn't that he didn't care. It's just he had priorities, and I wasn't the priority. And women's boxing, I wasn't making millions of dollars, so it didn't really matter. So I had to really scratch and claw my way through my boxing career, which I would never change. But when I heard the news, I got told I couldn't have any children, which was huge with me. I come from, I'm Cape Verdean and Native American, and my Native American, like both sides, but especially the women, the Wampanoag women and the women in my family, we have matriarchs, women are respected, was chief, was sachems, was sacred. And my line specifically, my great grandmother, my grandmother, my mother, and me, we passed down those lines. So hearing that, it's going to end with me, or supposedly, because again, nothing's impossible, it was really tough
Sure.
hard thing to swallow as a woman. And, who I was with at the time, just feeling like, I had one job as a female on this earth and I can't even do that. On top of dealing with my self-esteem issues and my self-worth issues all through childhood, especially with boxing. When I first started out, it's almost like, and Brian, my husband, put it really well when we was just friends, that I was almost scared of being good, and a fear of, my success scaring people, or it being uncomfortable for other people, because I just have a certain type of energy that I'm learning, that I'm very, very different, and it's not a bad thing. And it comes from childhood. I'm not native enough because I'm, Black or Cape Verdean and I'm Native American, but I don't look this way and I don't talk that way. And I'm two spirit. So I like to play with the boys. And there's just so many things that I couldn't find my footing with childhood, and so many things that I thought were my fault. So of course, hearing that you can't have children is like, well, that must be my fault. My father left because it's my fault. My mom thinks I'm crazy because I'm two spirit. That's my fault. There was so many things that kind of weighed in on me. It took me a few years to be okay with it. And I finally got okay with it. Who I ended up being with for a while, she had a daughter that I adopted as my own. But I was okay with it, I guess. You know what I mean? It was just one of those things. And on the plus side of things, I don't have to worry about, being on my cycle during fight day. This is a positive. Because with females, it's a whole nother podcast about being a female in sports, not even just boxing, but something as demandingly physically as boxing. And then like weigh-in day, like we have to, like if we're on our cycle, we're like 8 pounds heavy, and it's not our fault. This is really, you know what I mean? It's just how our body works. So there was just so many things that I had to adjust and be okay with. Now, fast forward to, were you going to say something? Okay.
Yeah, just gonna so talk. What you had said just before, right? So how did you overcome it? Like, how did you find your footing? Because that you're right. That's you have the juxtaposition, right, of being part of two worlds. Talk about that and how you were able to, you know, find your place because you've done a tremendous job in finding your place.
Well, really early on, like I said, I'm the youngest of five children. My father had five, my mom had two, so we're just part of a blended family. We don't do that half brother, half sister thing. I have four siblings, put it that way.
Yeah.
So I was the last one to be born, and it was, I identified being Cape Verdean with my dad when I was really young, because he's Cape Verdean. His mother was native supposedly on some end, but as far as I'm concerned, that was where my Cape Verdean side came from. And my mother is also Cape Verdean and Native American as well. But I'm what I kind of self-proclaimed first generation of my line to be able to grow up in remembering, not learning, but relearning or remembering our culture, our language, our ways. So from a kid, I grew up in it. My mom didn't, my grandmother didn't, my great grandmother couldn't even say she was Native. Like there's a lot of history that goes in there. So you know my dad was in and out. So I got, we went to powwows and we did ceremonies. She woke me up and had me, do ceremonies in the morning and make do crafts with her. So that's what I knew. But I didn't grow up on a reservation. It wasn't like, the typical, I guess what you're atypical from the outsiders. Like if you're really native, you grew up on a res. I didn't grow up on a res. I grew up in Evergreen Apartments in East Providence, Rhode Island. There was no native kids around there. But I was the token native kid. But I wasn't Cape Verdean enough either. But I kind of strayed away from it because I associated that with my dad and my dad leaving. Again, thinking it was my fault. On top of everything else, my mom's also a Christian. So the struggle with being a tomboy and start struggling with my sexuality was something I was more ashamed of. So there was like a lot of things that I just couldn't find my footing, and I thought that was a bad thing. Like I was a star trying to fit in a circle and square, or I wasn't even a star, just shape that nobody ever seen, and I used to associate it with a bad thing. But where I'm at now with it, what really helped me and what's helping me, because we're all just progress all the time, work in progress, is knowing exactly who I am. Not for everybody else, because I have nothing to prove to anybody else, but for me, that means knowing directly where I come from, the lineage of what line I come from what tribe, what islands I come from on Cape Verdean side, both on my mom's and my dad's side, and really embracing who I really am as a two-spirit individual. And that doesn't mean I'm part of the LGBTQ all the time, and because I married a man, I'm not. It's just because that's who I am. I joke about it like, did I lose my like gay card because I'm married to a man? Like, it's like, do you guys take that shit away from me? Like, but I joke about it. But I am in such a comfortable place with who I am. For me, that's what has helped me overcome not being good enough. And Brian had put it like very eloquently, that he said, because he came into my career only in 2016, and he said he used to watch me, because we've known each other for a long time, watch me fight. And he said it almost looked like you were punishing yourself. Like you'd get to a certain spot in a fight and then you'd stop. Like you felt like you had to lose because you didn't know how to win, but you've always been good enough, talented enough to win. And when he put it that way, I've never thought of it that way, but that's almost exactly what I was doing, because I was scared of being successful, for offending the people around me, because I was so different and people just didn't know where to put me. I had to figure out where to put myself, and it's in a whole lane of my own. And once I realized that I was in my own lane, how cliche that sounds, the pride I got of being so different. I'm not going to fit in a box because I can't fit in a box. I fit in my own mold. I'm my own mold, and that's not a bad thing. Once I realized that wasn't a bad thing, and I realized how good I actually was, things started changing for me. I mean, my fight against Cecilia Breckus was like a revamp of my career. I lost, but I won so much, and from there I haven't lost since. And that's a lot to do with my mentality, has a lot to do with my husband, Brian. Like, just, again, we're best friends. And even in that fight, I was still sleeping, almost like still doubting in the first few rounds. He jumped in and was like, "Yo, Kay, wake the fuck up. You're supposed to be here." And that clicked. And I was like, "No, I am supposed to be here." So that's kind of flipped it on its head. And that's really how I've overcome that not fitting anywhere, not being this enough, not being that enough. Oh, I'm more than enough, and I have to keep reminding myself that every day, because I don't, every day is not gumdrops and rainbows around here. Sometimes it's really dark, but just go back on that you're supposed to be here. You're doing exactly what you're supposed to do, and you are enough, basically.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's the best way I could put it is, you know, you're in a lot of different communities, but you're excelling in all of them. That's the part. Like, I know a lot of people who are boxers. We've had a lot of boxers on the show. Not a lot of boxers are champions, right? I know a lot of people who act and try out for parts and stuff. Not a lot of them, get to be a star of a movie and get to, be in a series. So I think obviously you're clearly doing a great job and finding yourself. It's the most important respect there is self-respect, and being able to believe in who you are as a person. Um, talk about a little bit about the, if you're comfortable, of course, talk a little bit about, being an Indigenous person, what that means to you as far as in the boxing ring, because I know that's a big part of, a big part of you. I don't want to say persona because it's not a persona. It's who you are. Talk a little bit about that and the strength you get from it.
It's like almost, indescribable what kind of strength I get. And it wasn't up until maybe, I don't know, when I came back after my motorcycle accident, when I really honed in on what it means to me. And once I found out what my medicine is. So, being indigenous, no matter where you are in the world, where indigenous, there's some kind of genocide that happens. And it's a type of genetic thing that gets passed down. It's like, it's hard to explain. Like, it's almost like I'm sorry for existing, just because that's beat into every generation. I'm just, we're not worthy. So that was already, it was like I was 4 rounds down and going into the fight. You know what I mean? When I got here, kind of a
Yeah.
thing. But again, even finding my identity has a lot to do with knowing exactly where I'm from. So when I started doing my lineage, and I always knew what tribe I was from, but to give you a little history, the Wampanoag Nation, we have about 9 clans or bands or different tribes. Some of them are federally recognized. My tribe happens to be state recognized. And we are what we call Anawan's people. So there was a great leader of the Wampanoag Nation called Osamiquin, Massasoit Osamiquin. And if you're from New England, I'm sure you've heard of Massasoit Ave, Metacomet, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So during the King's Philip War, and even before that, he had a war chief, his right-hand man, his name was Anawan. And through the King's Philip War, he ended up being killed, but in the area of Seekonk, Massachusetts. And when I knew where this fire, this warrior spirit was coming from, it just ignited something in me. Like, all right, this must be my medicine, because the feeling I get doing this, I know it's violent, but it's a beautiful, beautiful thing in there. It's a science, you know what I mean? It's strategic. It's a dance. It's a square circle, and we do things in a circle as indigenous people. So there's just a lot of parallels that I found. And when we find our quote unquote medicine, it could be beating, singing, dancing, drumming, it could be cooking, it could be whatever you put love into. And I put so much love into my fighting that, at first I started coming out to recordings, but I always had this vision of just having a grand entry of coming out with my people and the drums. And because dance is so sacred to us, songs are so sacred to us, and the heartbeat of our people is our drum. And that's something that I get so like filled with so much. I just remember as a kid hearing the drums and just being in that whole like blissful place of just celebrating who we are. So I just incorporated that in my fighting. And what I really got out of it is when I started seeing what I did for other people, not for myself. This is way outside of myself. For indigenous children, just like me, or indigenous elders, there's so many stories and so much trauma that needs to be healed with amongst indigenous people between on Turtle Island, meaning Canada, America, South America, that it starts with energy. And the energy I pass and feel in when I box is just that energy. No matter what, you could be the best burger flipper at Burger King, but if you're passionate about it, you're putting energy and love into that goes somewhere. So once I learned that, things started changing for me. Where it's outside of myself, I fight for all nations. I fight for my people to spread out that positive energy and pray. Like every punch is a prayer. Once I learned that, it just kind of came full circle, and it was what I was supposed to be doing. Now it may not be digestible to some people to look at a fight, but when people understand why I do what I do and what really motivates me, it means a lot to me. And that's why I incorporate it so much, and to be a voice for my people and bring awareness to different things that you don't see on regular mainstream media, such as missing murdered indigenous women, or the pipelines, or our missing children in residential schools. I have a voice and I have a platform in front of millions of people in a boxing ring. Why not take 30 seconds to acknowledge that it's Native American Heritage Month or whatever? So I just feel it's my due diligence to fight for my people physically and literally and like figuratively. And it's a perfect match in it. It's a perfect flow.
Wow, that was very powerful. And look, I think the message is clear for everybody, right? On that is that, do things, do it with passion, find a place to draw your strength, and you'll be successful. And just to reiterate again how successful you actually are, I think that's a great inspiration. Look, you're a great inspiration to all nations, right? Not just, like you said, you fight for all nations. You're a great inspiration to all nations, not just to indigenous people. So I think that's great. Talk a little bit. Again, you shared something very personal there. if you're comfortable talking about it, talk about the whole children thing and where you're at with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm open, and it's funny because these things are really really personal to me, and I have to remain vulnerable. And really early on, cliche saying as it is, got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's been my entire life. I've been uncomfortable, but I seem to be I strive when things are uncomfortable. Like, people work really good under pressure. When things are uncomfortable, and it's the majority of the time, I know how to function in that, and it's just how I've been able to function. So um like I said, it was a struggle to digest that and understand that. And when I was in a place of acceptance and kind of, there's all kinds of other options, there's all kinds of kids out there that need homes and stuff. And I actually work,
Absolutely.
I've been working, and I've always worked with, and still currently unofficially work with, I'm a residential counselor at group homes. I started that work right around when I went professional. And it started as I needed a job. But when I heard about that, you could work with young kids that are in the home, they need guidance, I'm like, oh, why not? So I work with young girls ages 11 to whenever they lose my number, because they still call me. And I've done that work for so long, and it originally started like I needed a job, but it immediately turned into I just wanted to be who I wish I had when I was their age, kind of a thing. And it was more of a relative and relatable approach. Like, listen, I'm not going to beat you over the head with, I went to school for psychology and science. I'm not going to beat you over the head why I think that you have trauma and how there's 10 steps to getting over it. You're mad, you're 13, you're a female, raging hormones, and you don't think you're being heard. At the end of the day, that's what it's really the problem. So that's also a part that I kind of took from, all right, I can't have my own, so I can put this energy into other ones that need this help. But plot twist, about 9.5, 10 years later, my cycles came back out of nowhere. And it was unexplainable. The doctors couldn't explain it. My
Wow.
yeah. It gets real hairy here, no pun intended. Nobody could
I'm glad you said that and not me.
listen,
I'm glad,
man.
do you,
No.
by the way, do you have Brian doing the dishes back there? I hear somebody banging the dishes around.
Yeah, no, he's making food right now. He's not. I did.
What's the problem?
He said you have Brian doing the dishes back there. I said no, he's making food. But they couldn't explain it. Everything checked out. I was quote unquote normal. I am far from normal. I'm convinced I'm like an alien unicorn from a different universe at this point. But um so everything regulated out, and now I'm like, now I thought it was broken, now it's fixed, now what do I do with this? It's like I'm 12 all over again. I'm still fighting. Now I gotta time things in order to it just started getting really weird. So then the question arose, well, does this mean I can have kids again? Like, I'm confused about this. But this happened maybe in 2017. I kind of just went on, my doctor kind of just sent me on my merry way and was like, you're fine, and just get your checkups and you're great. At the time, like I said, at the time I was with somebody who already had a daughter, and we had already kind of planned around, maybe if the possibility arises, maybe we'll adopt, whatever. But now this is like, wait a minute. So with that, the first 3 years it was normal. The last 2.5 years ain't been normal. So last year, my entire time of training, we're going through COVID thing, and just training's weird and everything else. And I'm getting older. I'm about to be 36 next year, so I'm in that bracket of fighters. With females, I'm in my prime because we get a little bit more time than males, but especially because the pool's a little bit more shallow, and the fights and everything like that. But um I started noticing different things with training. Now, I train in Philly for a reason, because my boxing soul was born here, number one. But number two, they train like dogs out here. I mean, this is the fighting city. You know what I mean? So I like I said, Brian sometimes has to save me from myself, because I don't know when to stop, because I just want to be good. And sometimes, like after the fight, we get that post-fight depression. We're like, I don't know what to do with myself. Do I go to the gym? Like, that throw me out of the gym. So I just started noticing the different things that was starting to get really tweaky around my cycle, my female issues. But I will tell you, the entire 2021, especially leading up to the Florida fight, when I fought for the IBO, and into my last fight, there were unexplainable things happening within my body that I couldn't explain. It wasn't like, have more vitamin C, drink more water. It was like very, very more delicate, more detailed, and a lot more severe than that. But being me, I didn't want to say anything, because I was finally getting to the opportunities that I've been fighting for my entire career. I have a great team behind me. I have a great manager, great promoter. They were putting things in line, mapping out my entire career to where I've always wanted to be. So when I fought for the IBO in August, I fought Diana Prazak. I thought I was just sick. I was like, I don't have COVID, but I had like a chest infection, a sinus infection. So I couldn't, like 2 weeks before that, I was sparring, was having panic attacks because I couldn't breathe. Like it was like insane. It was bad. And usually when I get sinus infections, it's bad. So, and Diana Prazak is the worst opponent to have when you can't breathe because she don't stop. I'm like, what the hell?
She's nonstop. She moves forward. Yeah, absolutely.
Just comes forward, and we trained for that. But I just kept noticing things about like I would just get tired, and I'm like, all right, it has to be because this is my Michael Jordan flu game. All right, whatever, we'll get it. I've never gotten a pass, but that was a close ass fight. You know what I mean? I won, but my poor corner, my Matt Godfrey is also my cousin, and he's like as big as a refrigerator. He's like, oh my god, like he was happy, but I gave everybody a heart attack. It shouldn't be that close, and I just didn't really want to say anything. Things were just really just going real haywire. Fast forward to fighting for the WBO, Jessica Camara, she's an amazing fighter. But we had a game plan to win, and we had a game plan to separate the two of us a lot bigger than it was. And let me tell you something about that fight. It was a great fight for the fans. It was fan friendly, but as a fighter, I don't want fan friendly fights. I don't want too many of those fights. I don't care. Let it be boring. Yes, it was boring. Exactly. That's where I like to be. And that's what we planned for too. But again, in the whole camp, and as well as we train Ebony Bridges, and she was here with us training that entire time. So we trained like crazy. I was just noticing different things, but again, I didn't want to say much, and it had to do with my cycle and what was going on and what wasn't going on. And this is here, this is that. And but to get medical, kind of like a medical geek right now, estrogen is responsible for a lot, as is testosterone. But hormones play a huge, if not one of the biggest roles in your body, especially as an athlete, especially as a woman athlete. So that fight, I had to dig down in the depths of hell to another dimension to pull that out. And I literally was willing to die in that ring. And I'm not saying that to like gas myself up. I was like, well, this is it. I'm not gonna stop swinging because that fight was ugly. It was we beat the crap out of each other, like we stole each other's bikes. It was insane. She's an amazing fighter, and I'm so happy the world got to see her talent. And it was a fight with her. But me personally, I knew my experience got me through that fight. My willing to just put it all out there got me through that fight because I knew those last 2 rounds I had to do something drastic. I had to separate us. And my husband gave me his. We laugh at it now, but he gave me his motivation as there's a word from our where I'm from, the Anawan. He used to say "autash," which means stand strong in my language, and I have it tattooed in the back of my neck. And before the fight, he must have known because he's like, what does that say in the back of your neck? I'm like, oh, Tosh. He's like, what does it mean again? I was like, stand strong. He's like, all right. And he walks off. I'm like, whatever. Cool. So going into the 9th round, he's like, I was dead. Literally, I was sitting on that stool and going into the 4th, and I'm looking at the card girl, and she's holding up round 4. I was like, yo, I don't know. I can't do this. Like, I was like, this is not gonna, I was dead. Like, and that's what I mean. Like, the energy that gets sucked away from my body was what I was dealing with the entire time training. I just didn't know why. But he, what does that mean? I'm like, stand strong. He's like, all right, let me give me a war cry. And I was like, looked at him like, I can't even breathe. You want me to start war crying? So I did so like thing, and he's let me hear it again. And I did it again, but that's when it turned, and I got power from my ancestors, from him, from everybody, and I pulled it off. And I literally was willing to die in there, and I overcame what I thought 100% thought wasn't going to be impossible. And we had one of the best fights of 2021, and I am a unified super lightweight world champion and set to be undisputed. So I knew I had that in me. I just didn't want to have to dig that deep, but I did. And I did what people and what I thought even in the fight was impossible. And right now, after the fight, it was to the point where needs to be the first time that I actually take care of me and say, hold up, wait a minute. Because it was that serious. Like, my poor husband's pulling his hair out in the ring. Like, I don't want to give anybody, including myself, a heart attack. So, and this is like kind of a lesson to people in sports, males and females. Take care of yourself first. When you need to, it may not happen. And, obviously I'm right at the pinnacle of like making more history, but I have to stop. I have to take a minute take a step back and really take care of myself. Because like I said, it's not a broken foot with like, all right, we got to operate. You have 6 to 8 weeks to heal. Then you can start therapy on your way. It's so minute. And I have so many doctors on this because it's, it's GI based, it's hormonal based, it's female based. And now we're back at we don't know if you can have children again. So I have to relive. And I've been reliving that for the last 8 months with all these testings, all these procedures and everything. So that's mentally taken a toll on me now. But, with everything I've been through, I'm kind of learning how to trust the process because, again, I have this opportunity I can't fight right now, but I have something else that I'm really passionate about and I'm able to do kind of right on time. But I mean, we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen. We've had to postpone the fight many, many times, and it's due to every day is a crapshoot. I don't know. Sometimes I wake up, I'm like, yeah. Other times I don't wake up until 2 in the afternoon because I'm just tired, and you cannot train for a fight like that. So we're just trying to figure everything out, and we'll figure it out. But nothing's impossible. Everybody has that, 9th and 10th round championship rounds in them. And I proved that to myself and to everybody else. There was opinions about the win, but it was close. It was a close fight. It was a great fight.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I can't stand that. So yeah, look, you won. So you won. You did enough. You pulled it out, and I think. Look, you're clearly tougher than life. We kind of knew that going in, but you're clearly tougher than life. But now my next question is, are you tougher than the Fast Five? Because I'm going to ask you 5 questions. You got to give me your answers, and let's see how you do. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So we kind of got to ask this, and especially this is a little bit of I'm dying to hear your answer on this because, you're a movie star. So, what's your favorite boxing movie?
Rocky 1, Rocky 1 has to be cliche, but I love Rocky 1 and 4. What can I say?
Right. Awesome. Good choice. Rocky is our overwhelming favorite so far, so I love it. All right, good. Would you ever want to be in a boxing movie?
Sure, why not? That would be like a walk in the park for me. So absolutely.
Yeah. All right. What's the one food you love to eat after making weight?
Sour Patch Kids. I love Sour Patch Kids.
All right, I got to tell you, that was not what I was expecting, but that's a great answer. I'll take it.
Food, I love to eat food, but I just want Sour Patch Kids.
All right, that was good. So that was all right. Well, I did say that I didn't want to ask you any questions to try to jam you up, but I'm totally trying to jam you up on this next question. So what do you like better? And you got to answer. You like Philly cheesesteaks, or do you like Rhode Island pizza?
Rhode Island pizza, Casertas, man. Sorry, I love a cheesesteak, but I've been vegan for a while, and I'm just kind of recently getting back into eating the cheese and stuff. So Casertas pizza.
All right, cool.
Rhode Island.
Good man. All right, good. I like it. Good answer. All right, so this is a good one. What is your favorite indigenous person curse word? And what's a curse word you can teach us that we can break out on people?
It's not even in the language, but it's something that I don't know why we say. It's shit ass. Like, don't be a shit ass. I don't know. Shit ass. That's, you don't say it in the language. Or it's not really a swear word. Skoden. It means Skoden. Like, let's go. And it's kind of has a history to it, but Skoden.
All right. All right. This is a tough one too. We've gotten a lot of the fighters that have been on this show. We've gotten a lot of them with this, so I'm interested to see if we get you. Tell us a clean joke.
Okay. Why did the octopus beat a shark in a fight?
Tell us.
Because he was well armed.
All right, that works.
That was stupid. It was stupid. I mean, whatever.
No, that was great. You kidding? That was great. That's it. Listen, you're in. you're in our Hall of Fame right now as far as that's concerned. So you're definitely in there.
Cool.
Well, this is an awesome pleasure. Tell our listeners where they can find you, other than on HBO and a major hit show.
Yeah, you find me on you just say catch the fair one in your little remote. You can find me now. I'm kind of straying off social media for a while now, but it's a necessary evil. So you can find me on Twitter at KO Reis 86. I'm gonna warn you right now, I am a loose cannon. I don't give not one fox. Like there's none given on there. I'm a loose cannon. So, elders and children, discrepancy, parental advisory. Instagram, I am KO_NDNBXR, like Indian boxer. I do a lot of sharing of, things like I share a lot of the alerts I get from missing Indigenous people. I support a lot of Indigenous, businesses, information, because I have a lot of followers. I also share funny content, personal content, so it's a little mix of everything. And then on Facebook, I have my fan page is KO-Kaylee Reis, KALIREIS. That one's pretty much PG, maybe PG-13 here and there. I keep you updated on fights, what's going on with me. There's a lot of kids and elders and Indigenous circles that follow me on there, so I keep it pretty clean and respectful on there for that. And especially with coming to communities and stuff, doing my speeches or going to speak with communities, I keep it real clean on there. I do a lot of lives and stuff like that, so that's where you can find me.
Awesome. I can't thank you enough. This was great. I had a great time.
Thank you so much. I like the 5 questions, and that's my best joke, man.
You did it. Are you kidding? That's great.
Yeah.
That's going to be the final bell for today's podcast. If you like what you hear, give us a like and hit the subscribe button with your best power punch. You can check us out at Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, and anywhere you can find quality podcasts. We hope our stories inspire you to fight on. We thank you for listening, and remember, life's tough, boxers are tougher. Have a great week, everyone.